We are the Road to Tarvalin. We've just watched episode 7, and the Dragon Reborn is no longer a mystery. Hallelujah.
Right?
It's over. The world knows. Now we can get on with the show, right?
Yeah, I do. I agree with that. I feel so much that like where we've been with the show just feels so eye of the world and like, and here we're doing this and we're doing that and blah blah blah, and now it's like, yes, we're in Faldara. At the end they're walking into the blight and I'm like, yeah.
It's a really hard road to navigate, considering they want to stay true to the books as much as possible. They want to keep it exciting for people that have already read the books.
Yep.
And they don't want to be too redundant and just rehash the books page by page, because readers will get bored by that.
Yeah, I don't want that. No, I think they're doing
either.
a really good job overall. I loved this. I can't wait to get started because it begins with the scene that I was hoping it would begin with. I think we were hoping it would begin cold open.
We called it. Yeah.
We called it.
Cold open. We've got Tigraine doing her thing.
Shael.
Yeah. Ugh. I could have watched a whole episode of nothing but Aiel.
Yeah.
That's why we need like Mr. Bezos, 10 episodes, please. I beg of you, sir. Please, sir. Please, sir.
May I have 2 more?
That episode was almost an hour. It went by so fast.
Yep.
The most exciting moments, in my opinion, were Shael, Tigraine, Shael, however you want to say it. The actress that played her was so good.
So good.
Her name's Magdalena Sitova.
I looked it up last night because I was like, I always say that person and I don't actually get their name. So
there was one camera shot that for me was particularly amazing. And it's when she's holding both the spears out in front of her and the camera like whooshes back from behind.
Yep.
And then like there was that kind of like slow motion, almost like matrixy thing going on where it felt like time stood still for a second.
Yeah. And I really appreciated that.
And her like gritting her teeth and just like really like bearing down and like breathing heavily, and like I really felt like she was in pain and trying to push through it and trying to survive, and
while she's in labor.
So yeah.
All I could think of watching her go through that, I shouldn't say all, one of the underlying thoughts that was running through that is like having experienced labor. No, just no.
Okay.
That like to see her go through all of that physical exertion while she is also not just like at the beginning portion of labor, but at the we need to bear down and get this baby out portion of labor. Like my hands are like gripping each other tightly, thinking about the amount of pain that would bring. Like when she's in the snow and she rips open the interior of her
I was
pants.
just gonna say the part where she rips her pants, I was like, whew. Because like, I mean, you feel it, you know, like in that moment, she's like, I know what my body is telling me, and it's right now, like right now.
Now. You guys need to stop trying to kill me because I'm going to have a baby.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
God.
Then Tam showing up, and as soon as you see the hair-marked sword, you know it's Tam, and then we go back to the ways. It's like, how dare you? I just wanted to see Tam, and then they make you wait until like the butt end of the episode to finally get the ending, the conclusion to the Blood Snow.
It was worth it though. I felt like it was worth it.
I saw someone say that Tam looked like Nick Cage.
What?
and they did some type of like digitally
Mm-hmm.
unaging
A euthicizer.
aging. Yeah, a youth. Tracy, throw on the euthicizer.
Brrr. It's very noisy, apparently.
Uh,
No idea.
how did you feel about the ways in general? Was it emoji worthy?
I think it is maybe not as necessary to say that no one goes on the ways any longer,
Hmm.
because if you can only enter by channeling, that limits
Hmm.
severely the number of people that could go in and out of it. But in the books, it's like no one travels the ways because it's fucking scary. And I guess we're supposed to just get that point when they get inside and it's all like weird and
Speaking
Machin
of
Shin.
weird, it looks like I was staring off into space. Ooh, Machin Chin. I listened to that Recap Us Today video.
um,
Or was that Mashadar? I don't know.
I
Anyways,
don't remember. It's
I
the
liked Machin Shin.
Machin
The
Shin I liked.
It reminded me of what was it like season 4 of The Expanse, where there's
Hmm.
these like metallic
Mhm.
raining things
Mhm.
that they kind of like buzz around. They looked like metal wasps or something. And I
Mhm.
kind of like got that feeling from Machin Shin. It
Mhm.
didn't feel organic. It didn't
Mhm.
feel like something natural, like a
Yeah.
mist or a wind. It felt
Mhm.
like machinery.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good point. And it kind of had that sound to it too. Like
Mm-hmm.
as it was coming through, because you're right, it did make me think
Like
of
a
that scene.
whirring almost.
Yes. Yeah. And I noticed when they were in the ways, like there's lightning and it sounds like there's wind, but the
Mm-hmm.
wind is there like well before Machin Shin shows up. So maybe like that's not a thing and instead it's just a sound effect that they're
Mm,
using for ambiance or whatever.
very possible. Yeah.
Yeah.
The
I
path that they walked on kind of reminded me of like Lincoln Logs or something. Like it was very,
Andrew mentioned Giant's Causeways. So like there are these
where's that
rock
in Scotland or
formations. I
something?
think it's either Scotland or Ireland or both, possibly, since it's like along that western edge of the UK. But I thought that was really interesting because I can picture that. Like I can picture some of
Hmm.
the images of Giant's Causeways where you're like going into what looks like a tunnel and it gets darker as you go inside and then you have all of these strange, creepy kind of
Yeah,
staggering structures.
and there is some natural, like geologic features that do kind of look like that. But in
Mhm.
this case of the ways, it very much looks paved. Like it
Mhm.
looks like stone was placed there
Mhm.
in a symmetric
Deliberate.
order.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I
Which would
agree
make
with you.
sense. Like
Mhm.
it was made.
It was built,
Yeah.
it was built to be a source of travel, and I actually really also liked that Loyal basically summed up a big portion of the ways in, like, 3
Yes.
sentences and
Oh,
was
that could,
just
yeah.
like, "Loyal, damn! Someone got a self-editor. I wish I had one."
Loyal had his coffee this morning. He had a little pep in his step.
A bit of cough for his
Mhm.
day.
Yeah, a little calf.
Um, Rand keeps cutting Loyal off. Have you noticed that? Like,
Everyone keeps cutting Loyal off.
yeah, but Rand seems to be the one who's like, "Okay, Loyal, we get it. We get it. Okay?"
He's like the well-meaning friend. He's like closest to Loyal, so he has to be the one that's like,
Okay.
easy now, big feller.
I like that much better than what I was thinking because 'cause I'm like, "Rand, just shh. You're being
Just
kind of a jerk right now." I
just
like the yes.
shh.
A gentle caressing of the lips as
Yeah.
you say, "Shh." I love it.
I think it
Um,
was very interesting showcasing Nynaeve again. I really
yes.
thought that at some point this season, Egwene is going to have her moment, but considering that Rafe Judkins is a really big Egwene fan, I'm assuming they're going to save that for the finale.
Mm-hmm. What I noticed about that scene was how Nynaeve walks up to Machin Shin basically, and she just explodes.
Yeah,
Like,
she does her like ball of,
yeah, like she just
yeah.
like she's back, her hands are spread
Yeah,
wide,
they
like,
did another one of these matrixy like back.
but what I like, it felt as though it was raw. Like she was the conduit bringing the one power through, but she didn't really have a lot of control around it versus Moraine, who's on the other side of Nynaeve, who is like very
Doing her,
gently, like doing her weaves and
she's
pulling and
actually just
concentrating.
voguing.
She's voguing. Yes. She did an excellent job, by the way.
Mhm.
Tens
Tens, tens, tens.
across the board. So, I thought that that was a really interesting contrast to put right next to each other as
Yeah.
a way to show what it means to be an Aes Sedai and what it means to just barely know what you're doing.
Or
And
just, to be a wilder, to be self-taught, I
taught,
guess. Like
yeah,
she's not really in full control.
yeah, she has a need. She has a
Mhm.
need and she knows that she can tap into something in herself to fix it. And that's
Yeah.
what she's got. And I enjoyed it. At first, I didn't know how I felt about her being able to hold back Machin Shin by channeling, but then as it kind of went through, it seemed more an opportunity to show the differences between how the power can be wielded. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I hadn't even really thought about someone being able to physically or channel and hold Machin Shin back.
Mhm. Yeah, same.
I'm
Same.
I mean, I'm torn as someone who loves Nynaeve. I'm like, yeah, awesome.
Right?
But also, like, when you look at the, like, source material, it's like, it's just different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those are things that I'm actually really okay with.
Mhm.
You know, the further we get into the show, the more I do see the books as source material and not necessarily exactly what I'm going to be seeing on screen. And that's, I mean, I've had like a bit of that from the beginning, and I think it's because we've
Mhm.
had so much time to talk about it,
Yeah.
but it's almost a weight off my shoulders to just be like, I'm
Okay.
just accepting this. Like
You
I'm going
say
to
that.
just accepting
But if
this
something really
until
crazy happens, you will pout.
you will
I
hear about it.
mean, yeah.
Everyone will. My lower lip will hit the floor. It'll be great.
Oh.
One thing that I do want to mention about the ways is the discussion around Matt, because I can't quite tell. Is this a conversation that was planned from the beginning? Or is this a conversation that has been added to the show because we have an actor who is leaving and we need to explain it somehow?
Your guess is as good as mine because I have no
Yeah.
idea. I have no
Yeah,
clue.
neither do I, but I again don't want to leave out
Mr.
Matt's.
Harris?
Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, I can't tell if this feels forced or not. So that was,
Yeah, yeah. Well,
oh no.
I don't think we're gonna find that out, but
Until I sit down across from Rafe Judkins with like coffee or whatever, and I'm like, okay, tell me everything, Mr. Judkins. I know you've been listening
well,
to our podcast.
it would be really interesting to see how they restructured things
Mhm,
in the event of, especially after talking to Catherine the other day, how
mhm,
things were restructured due to COVID,
mhm,
how things
mhm.
were restructured due to budget,
Yeah.
how things were restructured due to cast leaving.
Mhm.
who knows what the script looked like at
Right.
first.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I feel as though they did kind of a good job of being like, "We can't have Matt anywhere close to the Dark One because there's a darkness inside him, and I know which side he'll choose." But I
yeah,
don't
it's a
really.
little, I mean, it's a little ham-fisted.
Yes,
Like,
that's what I mean, like, and I don't really like that because that doesn't. I don't like what they're giving to Matt and his character through that level of discussion, because that is not the Matt that
you're
we
still
necessarily.
hoping and waiting for the to see all the good in
Yeah, I
Matt.
mean,
Yeah.
we've seen some good tinged with
Mhm.
bad from him, so we know that overall his intentions,
Yeah. I
I don't
think
wanna say
it
are pure, but they're at least in some way altruistic, maybe? I don't
right.
know.
I think what it comes down to is not being able to spend as much time with him as the other characters, so you don't really get to know his inner workings. Like,
Yeah.
Nynaeve, I feel like, has had maybe a little bit more exposition
Mhm,
where you've gotten to know about her being an orphan, her time as a
mhm,
wisdom,
mhm,
her feelings towards Lan, her close relationship with Egwene,
mhm.
her work, her drive, like what makes her tick. And then with Matt, he's still kind of this mystery.
Mhm,
So I can see why some people maybe have feelings where they're like, we're not really sure where things are going with him.
mhm.
And it makes sense. I would
Yeah.
understand why people have feelings about it.
Yep.
Because, too, like, I kind of feel the same way about Perrin
Mhm,
because they're kind of, I mean, not even kind of, they're giving us the plot. They're giving us this love triangle between Rand, Egwene, and Perrin. Okay, I'm gonna say something. I
please.
I will give this episode like a 9.8. Like, I loved it. It was so good. I enjoyed all of it.
Same.
This was the only thing where I was like, but I think I mean, it's just my age. Like,
Mhm.
I feel like I'm watching like Riverdale or something where it's like
Yeah.
teen drama, and I'm like, no.
Yeah. I definitely felt that in the moment where, like, Nynaeve is like, "Stop fighting over her," and Gwen's
Mhm.
like, "What are you talking about?" Like, she actually
Like,
kind of looks like she's about to, like, stomp her foot and have, like, a bit of a mini tantrum or something. I don't know. I was just like, "Okay, I
but I
guess we have to
mean,
have her."
there are people that really loved that
Yeah,
liked the drama of it. But I'm an older audience person, so I'm I'm like Moraine. I don't have time for that shit. Like, get your stuff together. We've got
figure it
stuff to
out.
do. We
We're
gotta see
leaving.
the blight. We're in
Yep.
Faldara. Like, I've had enough, children.
We're leaving in the morning, all of
Yeah.
us.
I did like the little scene of them walking through Faldara. Them being led into the actual like fortress was pretty cool. It
Mhm.
was really great to see Uno.
Right?
I would have loved way more time with Uno.
Right.
I thought he was at least gonna have more than maybe one sentence.
Right.
But it was a hell of a sentence.
It was.
It was good.
"You great bloody bastard." Isn't that what he
Yeah.
says? Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, "Yeah, that's
Mhm.
Uno."
Yeah. That's it. Well
He's so
done.
cute. Like,
Mm. The actor
short
who
and
plays him is so good.
I
Guy something, I think. I don't remember his last name. Roberts, maybe?
sounds
He
be
was
right.
great.
Yeah.
The scene of them walking through, like, Faldara where Perrin thinks he sees Padan Fane. He does see
Mhm.
Padan Fane.
Mhm.
And I loved Padan Fane just kind of like he had a swagger about his walk, like,
Right.
just kind of, like, whistling a tune, like,
I was gonna
just
I was going to ask you how you felt about his exit from the ways and, like, how very Western. It felt like I almost felt like all I was missing was the yes,
I can't
that
whistle
was
when I'm
all.
laughing.
I think everyone knows what we mean, but, like,
Wah,
it was
wah, wah.
yes, that was playing in my head as he's, like, coming through, and then he just, like, "Doop, da doop, da doo," and I'm like,
Mhm. It's
"Cool."
taking a very folksy approach, you know? I
Yeah,
think
but I
that,
don't
like,
go ahead.
that combined with the music and
Mhm,
whatnot, I know that it's a very international cast, and this is,
mhm,
like, a very international feature,
mhm.
but there's something so completely, like, Americana to it, to
Mm,
where, like,
mhm,
I don't even sometimes think that I mean, there's people with accents, clearly, but
mhm.
it feels yeah, it feels strangely I don't even wanna say strangely, it feels awfully folksy
Yeah,
sometimes.
and occasionally a bit disjointed. Like, I like that they tried to give it a bit of, like, a Western vibe, like, underneath it, um, but sometimes it doesn't land quite right for me.
It could be something completely unintentional, like, whoever the director was for this episode really liked that camera shot of, like, from
Mhm,
behind underneath
mhm,
where the legs are, with the surrounding area, like,
mhm.
outside of Faldara, it looks dusty, so you
Yep.
kind of get this, like,
Yeah,
feeling.
yeah. I Pot and Fane was one of I don't wanna say one of the better parts, but definitely a highlight of the episode that he's there. That he
I
keeps popping up in, like, little places. He's the Where's Waldo of the
Yes!
Wheel of Time world.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
I love this actor, and it's so unfortunate that he just like, he's just in the shadows the whole time.
right?
I wanna hear some lines from him. It would be really great, but maybe later? Maybe season 2? I mean, is he really gonna
Scale the walls of Faldara.
well, I mean, they're already, like, leaving Faldara, so is he
Mhm.
gonna track them through the blight? I mean,
Mm. Maybe he's gonna mess with no, because everybody's gonna go after Rand and Moraine now
I
that they
mean,
know that
Mach
they've
and Shin
left,
didn't want him. Are they
right?
gonna run into a Jumara, and then Jumara is gonna be like, "You taste funny. No, thanks."
Would you like to ride me instead?
Oh my god.
That's how Poppin Fang gets through the blight. He, like, cruises on a Chumara.
"Hi-ho, Jumara, away."
Yes.
I mean,
I feel like I need that now.
hmm, someone that's way more artistic than I.
Draw us a Pot and Fang.
Let us know in the comments. Can you do this for us? Thank
Right?
you.
I think it'd be pretty great.
Do you mind
Um,
if I kind of back up just a little bit?
Please.
Because we didn't speak about Lord Agelmar and the Lady Amalisa yet.
Oh, yeah, that was actually where I was going to go with
Okay,
that,
okay.
was because I believe isn't it the guy who meets them it's not Ingtar, I was really hoping it was going to be Ingtar, but the cast on the side says it's Lord something or another that I've never heard of.
I'm fairly certain he was cast as Ingtar, but due to a scheduling thing, he couldn't come back for season 2. So
Mhm.
they just made his character someone else, and they've already announced the Ingtar actor.
Yes! Okay, I didn't know
Yeah.
that, and I'm excited. Um, but so they bring them to the room, like, the audience chamber, it looks like, where Lord Algomar is standing imposingly staring out at the distance where the blight is in his magnificent outfit. I love it. I noticed there was a lack of deference for Moraine,
This was very different than
right?
what I was expecting.
Uh-huh.
Very different. But keep going. Keep
Right.
going.
Well,
I'm
no, like, Lord Agelmar in the books is
mhm.
like, "Aes Sedai, Aes Sedai, Aes Sedai, like, what can I do to make you more comfortable? Oh my gosh, I can't believe you arrived and we knew nothing about this." Like,
They Lord Agelmar and the Lady Amalisa are there to placate and do anything they can pretty much for the Aes Sedai, and this is a very big change that might
mhm,
not mean too much for the story.
yeah,
I mean, it kind of makes the Borderlanders harder and
yeah,
more gruff feeling,
yeah.
but I kind of also like the duality of having someone who can be extremely deadly, but also
Really polite and deferential.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like, this what we say about Lan having this kind of like poet's heart with
Yeah.
a warrior's body, I
Mhm.
guess.
Yeah, I'm not really sure if I can see this Lord Agelmar exchanging poetry lines with Lan. One of the things that Moraine says when she's and I'm moving forward, but we can come back,
Mhm.
but this is
Yeah.
about Lord Agelmar, is she's like, "I wanna go see Min, the seer," and the lady Amalisa is like, "Well, my brother wouldn't approve of that." And Moraine is like, "Well, why would he ask questions when he knows he already has all of the answers?" Or something like that. And I, of course, snickered and thought that was really funny, but at the same time, that's not what would have happened in the books, you know? Like
No, it's not. I mean, like I said, I don't know that it changes really anything.
mhm,
It changes the culture of the
yeah.
people, but does it make anything different within the story? I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. It's not like a big enough character in the series or even a big enough character change that it's gonna affect anything in a big way.
It somewhat, like, puts the Lady Amalisa in kind of this lower role. Like, yes, she's not the lord of Faldara,
Mhm,
but she in the books, like, she has her ladies, and
mhm,
she kind of feels like she's at a higher position than she
mhm,
is on the TV show, especially considering in the TV show, she's even an accepted.
mhm,
So, I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm thinking that it's possible that we're getting her storyline just so we understand how Morghese is able to kind of, like, leave the tower.
mhm. Do you think it's only the nobles that they let leave with the ring? Once you're an accepted, the only way you don't move on to being an Aes Sedai is if you fail the test, right?
Or you die in the
Well, that's what I mean is, like, by failing the test, you die, so it's like do they just decide at some point that accepteds just can't possibly take the test? Or, like, do the accepteds say, "Hey, I don't feel like I can do this," and they're like, "Okay, cool, see ya," and you get to keep the
bye?
ring? Yeah,
We need a little bit more information, I think. I'm sure they
mhm,
will explain it at some point, but it'd be nice
yeah.
to know.
Well, and I'm sure new viewers don't have, like, all of these questions that we have because we're like, "Well, how does it match up? What's going to
Yeah,
happen? Blah, blah,
yeah,
blah." Like, I feel as though it gives a really this is something I think the show has done really well. It gives a lot of information in a really tiny package. Like, this is what an acceptance ring looks like.
yeah,
This is a woman who can channel, but can't channel to the standards of being raised to a full sister. So we have these varying levels to the Aes Sedai that we may not necessarily have been totally aware of before.
mhm, yeah,
I thought it was well, I think there were so many little like here's a little bomb of information. Doot, 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 doot,
yeah.
among other things that were meh. Just a few moments.
I'm gonna open this up so you can see the Ingtar actor.
Mm. I am excited.
I know him from The Discovery of Witches. That's what it was. That's what it was.
I recently just saw. Ooh. Yeah.
He's a very dapper
Yeah.
Ingtar.
I yes. I say yes to this man as Ingtar.
Yeah. The man that plays Massima. Whew,
Ooh.
yeah.
Really? Hmm.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Just an overall beautiful cast.
For real.
They just keep doing this to us.
Over and over again.
Don't necessarily mind too much.
So with I guess the conclusion maybe to the Lord Agomar, Lady Amalisa, we then go into a tavern and we see Min,
Mm-hmm.
and she's cleaning glasses and she's a bar
Bartender.
bartender,
Mm-hmm.
and Moraine goes like straight up to her and was like, "Give me the stuff." You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it kind of
In like
feels
a
like it
in like
kind of
a
feels like she's
threatening.
being blackmailed,
Yeah.
because if anybody knew what she could do,
Hmm.
she would probably be hunted, studied, poked, and prodded,
Yep.
and have no semblance of normal life anymore,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of a nice like callback to what happens with Min and Tuon.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the actress did a really good job. I liked all of the prophecies that were given,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that I would much prefer to see Rand and Min than Rand and Egwene.
Hmm. I agree. I
But
I was a bit baffled by her visions, especially the
okay,
Rand with the baby.
just made me think of the Portal Stone when he's like married to Egwene and they have a baby named Joya, and like that
Oh.
could be his
Hmm.
life.
Hmm.
Maybe Elaine doesn't have twins. Maybe Rand becomes the parent to one instead of two babies.
Possible. Be
I
so
don't know.
weird to make him a parent in the
They
show.
Well, the baby had dark hair, and I know that doesn't mean anything because babies can be born with really dark hair and end up blonde.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's that. But that didn't look like the child of a redheaded man and a redheaded woman, or a
No.
redheaded man and a very light strawberry blonde headed woman.
Yeah.
I don't know. What if it was Min's baby?
That's actually what I was thinking. I was like, well, dark hair. Men's got dark
Hmm.
hair.
Yeah.
I and so those are not prophecies that I remember from in the books. I felt as though, to me, the ones for Gwen and Nynaeve seemed pretty obvious.
Egwene's was the
White
flame.
flame. Mhm.
Hmm.
And then a gold ring for Nynaeve.
Were you
So,
thinking Land's signet ring?
yeah.
That's what I was too. Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
immediately. Like, I was like,
that's
Flames Tarvalon and the
Land's signet
Malkier
ring.
signet ring.
Yes.
That's
Okay.
what we're talking about. Why
I'm
didn't they
glad
just say that? No, I'm
we're
just
on the
kidding.
same page. Twin brain.
Totally. Yes. Um, so I liked that for the girls. I felt as though the boys were kind of ambiguous in how they
Well,
were.
Perrin's was easy, like a golden
Yeah.
eye, blood around
Mhm.
your mouth. Okay.
We get it, you're a
Rand.
wolf.
Yeah. Yeah.
We get
I'm
it.
just poor Perrin has kind of gotten shafted this season.
I agree.
What
I
is he? Chopped
agree.
liver? I
Right?
mean,
And in
the
some ways,
wolves the wolves didn't even really save them. Egwene did. So what's Perrin's superpower? nothing. He can talk to wolves, but they just kind of show up and lick his wounds.
Right? They every once in a while are like, "Oh, hey, we're gonna show up and aid in the carnage. Thanks for having us.
Well,
Bye."
I feel like one of the reasons he's so loved is because when you're reading about Perrin and you're like, this dude can talk to wolves and summon them, like he can summon armies of wolves to come
Mhm.
tear the throats out of people. That's amazing.
Right?
And in the show,
Maybe
they're much more
maybe they'll
tame,
build up
placid.
to that, you know? Like,
Yeah,
maybe it's, like, because it's the beginning of his wolf
that's true.
capabilities.
And I'm sure they can't CGI like a horde of 1,000 wolves.
But they
I
better
mean,
be able to by the time they do my as wells.
okay.
Get your
Okay, here
budget up for that. I think what
yeah.
they've pulled together overall with what they've had and what they've had to go
Mhm.
through,
I did like hearing the word Daishan being used. Lan,
right?
Daishan, Lan, does the
Will the
golden
golden
crane
crane
fly?
fly?
Daishan, Lan, will the golden crane fly? I mean, that could have been a welcome, but
Right? I would have loved to have seen that.
right? Like, I guess then it wouldn't be like undercover. Like, then he wouldn't be able to have his moment with Nynaeve, which makes sense. But I think it would have been cool for the whole group to be clued in on
Mhm.
it. But I'm sure they wanted to like create a moment specifically for Lan and Nynaeve. So I think that worked out really well. The little family that he's having dinner with when she's stalking him was really sweet. I loved how
Mhm.
he knew that she was following him. I loved that little girl that was, like, having a very tender moment with
Mhm.
Mr. Henny. There was the older man, and the woman was wearing
Bindi?
the bindi, but I don't
What
remember
is
what
it
it's
called
called
in
in the books. Maybe it'll come to me. But as soon as I
Yeah, I
saw that, I
know.
was like, "We have a Malkiri woman. We
Yeah,
have one. She's
yeah.
here." And then hearing about Lan being, like, taken from his home and how, like, they brought him here, I was really, like, on the edge of my seat waiting for someone to say the name Bukama. Like,
Mhm.
I was
Me
hoping
too.
for it
I was like,
so much.
just tell us.
Yeah, yeah,
I wanna have a Wheel of Time world where Bukama is still alive.
yeah.
So, I liked that. I feel like he's the only person that that could be, you know? It has to be him. And, like, when he, like, reaches over to Nynaeve and is like, "Thank you for keeping my Daishin safe."
Oh, so
I mean,
good.
seriously, coming from and he's got the Hidori?
Hidori, thank
Okay,
you.
yeah. So he's the older gentleman is wearing a Hidori as well, marking him out also as being Malkieri,
Mhm.
and I have to think if this is the last remaining armsman who saved baby Lan and who
Then it's
has
Bukama.
yeah, and
Like, he's
also
default Bukama.
I was just thinking how deeply that man did feel gratitude for Nynaeve being there for Lan, you know?
Yeah.
Like, this is his king. This is the man whose life he has worked and worked to protect, and so I was just like, "That's so sweet. That's
Yeah.
so sweet." And what a touching moment to give Lan and Nynaeve for Nynaeve to see Lan in a situation like
Yeah.
that, like,
Yeah.
of course, later on, she was like, "By the way"
I like too that he didn't start things. Like, she's the one who went into his room. She
Mhm.
initiated it,
Yep.
and I think that's important. Going back to New Spring, like,
Don't we always?
Lan tends to not be the one to initiate things, but I
Mhm.
think he's very respectful and kind of enamored by her like fourth forthright nature, I
Mhm.
guess.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think he just wanted to be respectful.
Hmm.
And the Nynaeve was like, I love that the timing worked out to the point where he was like stripped down to his breeches, you know?
I think that it was tastefully done in a way
Totally.
that Robert Jordan would have done it himself.
Yes.
Like they kiss, whatever, the camera cuts away. To
Mhm.
be honest, like the kiss scene wasn't what got me. It
Mhm.
was when she's getting ready and she kind of gets up in the middle of the night to leave and he tells her to stay.
Mhm.
He's telling her a story. She sits down on the bed and he like very gently like holds her hand and I was like that's it. That's
Yep.
it. That's the shot.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I feel as though that scene was very tastefully handled. So far, everything that has involved any layer of sexuality, I
Mhm.
feel has been very tastefully handled, and I appreciate it because I feel there's already more than enough stuff that we need to get through, that an extended scene of people having sex is not really something that I'm jonesing for. Like,
No, I would have
I have an
much
imagination.
yeah, I mean,
I
we're
can figure this
adults.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Surprise. I know how sex works. Weird, right? I just don't feel like I need it. What I don't know is what's going on with the blight. Um,
Exactly, I was gonna say, boobs or blight.
right? I'll take blight, hands down, every time. Give me the blight. Give me the
Yeah,
blight. Do you mind if we talk about Rand and his moment of discovering that he is the dragon?
yeah,
I thought they did that scene really well.
yeah. I mean, they kept it interesting for people
Mhm,
that already know, like,
mhm,
who he is,
mhm,
which
mhm,
is good, it's good.
mhm,
I liked the flashbacks,
mhm.
especially the one in the ways, because when that happened, I was like, "Did Egwene finally channel or was it Rand?"
Right?
And I think it's interesting that at this point, even though Rand is like way, way super OP channeler, Nynaeve is still like raining hellfire, and Rand is like,
Right.
"Woo, like little baby weave." You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting, like when Rand levels up, I
Right.
guess. Like
Yeah.
once he I mean, if we get an Asmodean character, like
Mhm.
what are we gonna see? How is that
Mhm.
gonna look like in comparison to Nynaeve, in comparison to some of the things that we've already seen? How are they gonna elevate it? I'm
Yeah.
excited.
I noticed we had 2 scenes with Rand outside shooting his bow and arrow, and in the
Mhm.
first one, he's not hitting the bullseye. He's hitting around the bullseye, and he seems very frustrated that that is what is happening, and then when he comes out the second time, it's him in a completely different mind space, and all of a sudden, he is, like, hitting the center of the arrow or of the target
Was
every
that
time.
after he went
I
back
think it
to
was before he went to go see Min.
okay,
It was either before or after. It is in that particular area, but I'm
okay.
wondering if, like, the reason he was missing it before is he was refusing the flame and the void technique, which allows him to touch Sidene, and then when he's like, "I think it's me, I think it's me, I think it's me," does he accept it and use it, and then he's able to actually be the
Mm,
archer we know he can be, you know?
okay, okay. Yeah, that's really interesting, actually, like, I hadn't even thought about it that way. I'm
'Cause I can s
curious what yeah, I'm curious what other people think because it could go both ways, and I feel
Mhm.
like this would be a nice way to kind of, like, bring in the flame and the void.
Yeah, and I mean, when he's talking to Egwene and he's like, "This power inside you, you can't you can't ignore it, you can't let it go away." I'm like,
Mhm.
"Are you sure you're not just talking to yourself, buddy?"
Yeah.
Like, I can tell you're talking to Egwene and this totally applies to her too, but I feel as though
I I did like the throwback to The Great Hunt where he says, "I'll be your warder,"
right?
and, I
How
mean,
did
in The
you
Great
feel about
Hunt, it's
them
a
How did you feel about them getting back together again? Because when I saw that, I was like, "Amber is not gonna be a fan of this."
I it's not that I hate it, I just don't care. Like, I'm
Gotcha.
completely emotionless over it. I know it's not going anywhere, so
Yeah.
I've turned myself into rock Amber. I'm completely walled up inside. No
I
feelings,
I
no
can
emotion.
I can respect that. Save emotion
Um,
for other things.
well, yeah, it's we know it's just so painful. It's just so painful,
Mhm.
and there's something, like, personally where I feel like I just want to protect Rand, like, there's something about him where I'm just like, "This isn't right for you," like,
Mhm.
just pull the Band-Aid off because
Mhm.
it's just gonna keep getting worse.
Yeah.
And then, like, when you see him talking to Min, she's taken shots of
Shot.
whatever alcohol she is to try and get through her readings, and she's given it to him straight
Yep.
and, like, just telling him what he needs to hear, and Egwene isn't that person, so
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah,
What did she say? Carnivals and rainbows and 3 beautiful women or
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, like, she knows she's one of those women.
Mhm.
So, like, heck yeah, she's pounding him back. She's like, "Holy shit." You know, what's going through her mind right now when she sees him walk in the door?
Mhm. Yeah.
Like, how did she
Yikes.
not drop her glass and be like, "Oh,
Years
shit."
and years of practice of seeing things that you don't necessarily want to be seeing, like,
Yeah, but she said,
maybe
like, this
she's
was the
stone men too.
what?
Maybe she's stone men, like you're or
Oh, yeah.
rock amber,
Yeah.
maybe she's rock men.
She was a rock lobster. She's she said, though, that that was the first vision that she had was him when she was wandering the streets of Tarvalin as a
She
young
saw
girl.
Yep, she saw a
First
man with the heron mark blade.
mhm,
Yeah. That
yeah,
that m whole little montage of Rand going through the fever dream with Tam, that was yes! That's what that was for me. I thought they did a really good job with that. Him pounding down the door
mhm,
at, whatever that little town was when they're in the ways and he
Green
channels
Spring. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah,
mhm,
I feel as though they did a really good job of just, like, quickly being like, "These are all of the things that we are not necessarily aware of
mhm,
as viewers," like, we have little pieces of it, and it's like, "Here is everything." It's almost like a mini POV from Rand, and
yeah,
I thought it was really well done,
agreed, agreed. I
and I'm just
think
glad that it is Rand. I I I
well,
would have
it's they could still change it, though. I mean,
oh
because
my
she
god,
said
you're right.
She said, "If you're not the dragon and you come, you will die." Well, they're gonna show up, like, they're gonna chase after him.
Yeah.
They're all gonna end up together in the end, and I'm betting that they don't all die, kind of
Right,
important characters,
right.
so maybe it's not that he maybe it's just the dragon and the Taviran, or I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know because I
Or
mean, they do have
Swan has no idea what she's talking about, and Moraine has no idea what she's talking about. I don't
no one
know.
knows what they're talking about, everyone dies, end of the Wheel of Time series.
Subscribe for more very interesting hot takes. The
And
end.
abrupt endings.
Yeah. No, I'm not sure. I hope that next week we get more blight
Yes.
than just, like, creepy looking trees.
Yep.
It looked cool. It looked really
It
cool.
did look really cool. I it
Blight
was
10, baby 1. Uh,
Is this our scale now?
yeah,
This will
the
be our
blight to
scale?
baby scale.
Baby to blight scale. I like this. I like this a
Okay.
lot.
It was just it was super creepy. I loved it. I loved it.
Mhm.
I
The
really hope
only
that we get to see more than just the scary trees,
Mhm.
the eat trees, the people eating trees.
Mhm. I was shocked at how, like, overcrowded the blight felt, like, when Rand and Moraine are walking.
Claustrophobic.
Yeah, I mean, I understand now why you wouldn't be able to take horses in there, it makes so much
Mhm.
more sense, and I did notice that when Moraine was walking through, she pushed things away, like, with her arm, she didn't touch it with her hands, and, I mean, I wouldn't wanna touch something gross with my hands either, but, I mean, one of the big things is don't touch anything in the blight, so maybe she's doing the best she can in an area that looks like it could just.
Too bad she didn't have her stick, you know?
Right? Well, at
That
this
woulda came
point,
in handy.
she wouldn't have had it in the book either, 'cause she burned it
Mhm.
out when they were leaving the gateways.
Okay.
Waygates? I
You
always
always do
say it
that.
wrong. I always say it wrong. Ugh, I'm a professional. Um, yeah, I think that that wrap up was really good. I am curious how people felt about the Lan and Nynaeve having sex thing. Like,
think it I think it's the right direction. They're adults. I
mhm,
mean,
I don't disagree, but I can see like original Wheel of Time fans being like, no.
because they do it before they're married.
No, because they do it at all.
Well, I mean, they do it in the books too, just not until they're married.
Right, right. I think that's what I mean, is, like, this
Okay.
is an acceleration of their story in a
Yeah.
way that, like, kind
If you
of
don't
makes
like
sense.
Nynaeve and Lan having sex, I would ask you to please stop being such a prude and just let them, you know.
Just let them celebrate the
Just,
fact that they're alive together, that they
exactly.
found someone to care about,
Yeah.
especially when it's like, "Oh, and there's a very real possibility within the next 2 days, we will all be dead."
Exactly. Exactly. That's what I was gonna say. They've
At
been
that
saying how
point
long, like, we're all gonna die. You're all gonna die if you come. So
that
they've
point,
been running
parents.
around like maniacs this whole time, traveling. Lan keeps getting his bond masked. He
Right.
has a really, like, great relationship with Moraine, but she has someone of her own. It's not a
Mhm.
romantic relationship. Lan and Nynaeve have so much in common. Like, they're incredibly strong people, and they deserve a little bit of love. And
I
on that note,
I give them all my love.
we
I
send them
do.
all our love.
And that's our episode 7 discussion. Ta-da! Have a
Like
good
and
one.
subscribe.
Do
Thanks for
that.
joining us.